Welcome back to Tech Society, the podcast delivering candid conversations with smart people, tech and business leaders, academics, and more about their big ideas and how they're changing our world. Now your hosts, Alex Stunmo and John Newen.
Hey techies, welcome to another episode of Tech Society. As a continuation on a previous episode with Michelle Redfern on gender equality in the tech world, we uncover an emerging profession where there is still very little female representation, cybersecurity. We explore this with a special guest who came highly recommended to us as an authority on cybersecurity professionals in Australia, Tracey Hughes. Having understood the bigger picture with the implication of technology since the 80s, Tracey founded the Q1 Group. The Q1 Group specialises in providing the best risk and security professionals to corporate enterprises. We also address the skills shortage in cybersecurity.
Thanks for joining us, Tracey, and giving us your valuable time. Though you must have to spend a lot of time educating people on why they should take cybersecurity, take it seriously.
We do. We can't go into a shop and order anything. So huge, second biggest department store in the country. I rang the other day. All I wanted was some tambark, and they're offering a phone, click and collect. Rang them up. What's your address? That's weird. What do you want my phone? What do you want my address for? Gave my address. I thought, Then they wanted my credit card. Makes sense. Then they wanted my license. I was like, You don't need my license for click and collect. Where are you saving this data? And it really rang alarm bells. And I think so many people, like I just lived without my tambark. I think people just don't even question what they're giving people. And even if that huge department store isn't doing anything with it, you can guarantee that someone can access it. And the mainstream public are scarily naive about our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't even say trusting of these companies. They don't even think about it.
They don't even think about it. It doesn't enter their head. I went to a florist that I always go to, and I don't normally go in. I normally ring, and I said, I want to send these flowers, and she said, oh yes, I don't need any of your details. And she had under her counter an exercise book of all her regular.
No.
And I suppose she thinks she's been effective. She's saving us time, but there's so much work to be done. Awareness with the general public. I would say the government needs to invest in huge advertising campaigns.
And there's the digital equivalent of the credit cards written down in an exercise book is happening all over the place with big companies that we should be able to trust, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. But I guess the exercise book's safer, which ironically, like at least only an employee in that little florist can grab it. I mean, we all see it every day. It never ceases to amaze me how naive people are. Even people in the sector. I cannot...
Absolutely.
Like data loss protection with people working from home. It amazes me how many people are sending data from their work email to a home email. They're in the sector. They know you can't do that. They know. Do not send anything external to the corporation in which I'm working. With people working from home, that has gone through the roof. And it's so convenient, and it's a good workaround. Yeah. It's a good workaround. It's not working. I can't access, through the VPN, whatever it is. I'll just download it locally. Boom. Sprung in the DLP process, and that's even, we only work with people in the sector, and we've had a few people go for it.
Well, I mean, we even people in the industry or adjacent to the industry, they suffer phishing attempts. And one of our very smart staff members actually got an email pretending to be from me saying, hey, give me your phone number. It's urgent. I need to talk to you. And he quickly messaged me on a different program and sent me his phone number. And I'm like, okay, I already have your phone number. I'm your boss. And he hadn't kind of, he just responded quickly thinking, I need to do this. And that's how they get you. It's that social engineering.
You're the company owner. They had exactly the same thing happened to us. They contacted the girl that does all the finance, pays all the bills, via email. It smelled, everything that looked like my email, my signature, everything. And they knew that I was jumping on a plane, I gather. I don't know whether they looked internally at Qantas. She got an email, about to jump on the plane, can you transfer such and such?
Yeah.
And it's only because we work in that she didn't. She knows I'm not like that. She knows that it can wait. I was only going to Sydney. Yeah. It can wait.
Yeah. No one wants to pay bills that quickly, generally. Yeah. It can wait till you land on the other side. It said something like, I'm about to jump on a plane. Can you transfer this? They desperately need it. They're buying a house. Okay, they were doing a transfer or a mortgage or something. It was a good story. Yeah,
but were you actually about to jump on a plane?
That's
interesting.
That's the creepy side of things.
So that's suspicious. That means they know too much. It's not a generic phishing email. There was some social engineering.
I suspected it was someone working in travel.
And so you must have reported that to the police.
There's absolutely no recourse. You waste a lot of time too. And you get nowhere. And I'm time poor, and I didn't get
We had a client who their Office 365 got hacked, and the criminals put a forward on their email addresses, and after a while they then pretending to be them, emailed all of their clients saying, our bank account details have changed, and they managed to create a fraudulent bank account, which I thought was a lot harder in Australia. Apparently not. Yeah, they tricked several of their clients into paying their invoices into this other account. Of course, fled with the money. And from what I gathered, the police have not been able to.
They're not equipped. It's a very high tech problem, and counter security is a tricky.
Well, and this business, they high revenue business. They took it for granted. They never thought that was even possible, that someone would be able to sneakily enter your organization, and divert funds. Most businesses are not thinking that could ever even happen to them, let alone thinking, how could I stop it from happening?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be employed till we end up in a box. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, it's akin to being a locksmith, but there's a billion people trying to break into the lock.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just keeps snowballing. It just gets bigger and bigger. Like with everyone working from home, it has grown so much. We have been busier than ever.
What's the top mistakes people are making during this work from home COVID experience?
Well, that data loss protection, we've seen that a couple of times. Look, just the surface area of attack has gone from 3 or 4 buildings to every single employee. And so we are just so much busier. And I think for us personally, because we're a professional services organisation, people are restricting their FTE, and so we're getting a lot of that kind of work. People can't get FTE, but they need the people, so it all comes in as professional services.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense, actually. So what's the long-term lesson from all these work from home employees? Because I'm assuming they're going to stay, at least 10-20% of them will probably remain working from home.
The organisations we work with are saying 80% will, because they're just saving too much money in real estate. There's
That's true.
Huge savings to be had. In addition to that, there's all these metrics measuring how productive people are being, and people are being productive. People, people are generating as much, if not more, work than what they ever have. And that can be very well monitored with all the tools that people have today. I don't think we'll ever go back. I would not be surprised if we're living through an equivalent to the Industrial Revolution, where, at the time everyone moved into the cities to use the machines. I wouldn't be surprised if we are now living through the exact opposite of that. We've centralised, now we're going to decentralise. In fact, I know lots of people that have moved 2 hours from Melbourne. You get a much nicer house, you don't have to deal with the traffic, and they know they never really have to come back to this way of living.
Yeah.
I'm not in real estate, but I suspect we're going to see a huge shift in that. Huge. We really are living through probably the greatest historical period, and we're not. And like anything, you don't know it until we look back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The CBDs will become ghettos. Ours already is.
Yeah.
Ours already is. Like they have Google images of Melbourne. It's unbelievable.
You can't tell if it's a hipster coffee shop or a slum. But
exactly.
So actually, I want to go back to what you initially said when you talk about the iPhone. So I found that really interesting. I want to go back.
It's not
to
just
that.
iPhones though. Androids were
It was
roughly the same.
iPhone was the
Any
smartphones in general.
Smartphone. Once we were carrying all that data, all our emails, we could access the internal systems of a large organisation. We could access our bank accounts. Everything became online on that mobile data, and there was nothing protecting it. And it just increased. Like that for us personally, as I said, prior to that, it was really just firewalls and intrusion protection. Beyond there, we really did, there was so much in identity and access management. There's data loss, there's the protection around that, so the mobile protection, cloud security. Then we've all moved into cloud security. And again, that's really just because it's all not where we think it is on-prem. It's, so all of that needs protection. And, to be honest, we're just opening more and more holes. And so we just need more and more blocks in place to protect what we're building.
So in 2006, when you were starting your business, did you see this coming?
I did. So I can't say that I personally was responsible for that knowledge. Like anything, it's who you know, not what you know. So my cousin actually was the CEO of the IT Skills Hub, which was a government-funded large organisation, well, not large, so an organisation that got basically $40 million of government money given to it to do research on where is the biggest IT skills shortage going to be in this country. And it was a group of CIOs that got together, I don't know how often. Anyway, they created this great big manual on all documented it, like where the skill shortages are. And leaping off the page was IT security, IT security, IT security, and which is what it was called at the time. Like it wasn't even it wasn't called cyber security. That came, I reckon that was about 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it's fairly recent.
So it was called IT security, and that document that they produced, which was the $40 million government initiative, it was just like, this is, an avalanche coming, and we have to do something to build up a pipeline of people to address it, because we're never going to be able to address the requirement that we've got coming.
And it's not just a skills shortage in the usual way; it also carries with it a massive amount of risk. That if we're not covering it, then we're leaving ourselves wide open.
Yeah, and look, for a very long time, really until 2015, we had actively not done anything to address it other than get people from overseas. Like there's so many visa sponsorships in this sector. There's so many people coming in from China, from India, even from like for London and New York, because they're more advanced in this space than us. Historically they have been. I think people, our clients, still like to get someone from the large European banks and the large American banks.
That's interesting.
So there's a big skills shortage in cybersecurity in Australia.
Globally.
Okay.
So, and at least since 2016, we've been addressing it with courses. But prior to that, there was no such thing as a course in cybersecurity, which is like sitting here now, it's sort of unbelievable.
Yeah.
But there was IT graduates, and they fell into cyber. As a graduate, you take what gig you can get. and they fell into cyber. It's the last 5 years have the probably like any change that has happened in the world, the change has escalated. Like if the change had been like that, the last 5 years it's been like that. It's just gone up and up and up.
So what about the trope of the young, talented hacker who's 13 years old, sitting in his mum's basement,
cracking into the CIA?
Yeah. And then we actually entered the Western Australian Capture the Flag competition.
Oh yeah, how'd you go?
Yeah, and we got stomped by those 13-year-olds. Yeah, and we were taken aback though by just how many of them there were. I mean, it was
hundreds of people. Yeah,
and they were so young and so bright.
Yeah.
They're very, very talented. And well, there was nothing like that when I was their age. So
no,
I think so
they must have had quite an amazing school to even be there, because some teacher would have driven that. They must have someone that's really cyber focused in that school.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to ask you that question. Like, are you familiar with these organizations, and where is this community sprung from? And is the cybersecurity industry itself a part of that kind of helping the kids pick that as an option? Because I think it'd be much more fun being a cybersecurity researcher or consultant than being a lawyer.
Yeah, and that's why you're sitting
or
in that
even
seat. Or
even standard IT. Yeah,
exactly. Look, the really fantastic thing about cybersecurity is it's such a new industry that does, like, you use you say lawyer, and because law firms are so established, it's such an old boys Collins Street club in Melbourne, and to get in as anything not as a Scotch boy, a Melbourne grammar boy, you're going, like it's that old establishment.
You wear your school tie to the interview.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's absolutely. I was in the class. Your dad was in the same class as my dad. Blah, blah. And you see it among lawyers all the time. Because we're such a new industry, it is so diverse. There is absolutely none of that. Like none. And that's, I think the reason for that's twofold. It's almost that there's such a, you talk about the school kids. So often you go to schools and the parents, I want my child to be a doctor or a lawyer. And that comes from the homes.
Doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah. Like that's coming from the homes. And so then the kids don't even, to be honest, most kids don't even know about a cyber security career, and if they do, they don't really know what it is. They think it is capture the flag in a hoodie in a dark room. If you break up the jobs in cyber, that would be maybe 15-20% of it.
Yeah,
it's much more about the business and the risk and protecting the data of the organisation. There's such a misnomer of what it is. People only think of the hoodie hacker.
Yeah.
Which, that really...
It's a fun image. Yeah.
Yeah, but it keeps women out.
That was my next question for you is, why do you think there are so few women in cybersecurity, and how do we encourage that?
I think it is our image as an industry.
Yeah.
It's very blokey. I mean, it's so rare for me to meet a woman that I have met with female ministers in government, and they'll go, oh my God, and it'll be like a minister for cyber. She tweets it because she's like, oh my God, it's just so good to be having a meeting with a woman. Like, it's just not a thing that we have. We just have males in it. The last figures I heard on it is there's 11% females in the sector.
So it's even less than the standard tech industry,
it's
greater
even
tech
less
industry.
than the standard IT industry. And to be honest, those 11% are very rarely technical. They are primarily project managers and business analysts, yet they still fall into that. I think the problem is so deep, it can't be fixed.
Yeah, that was So I was going to ask you, what are your theories on why that is? And I have some of my own theories. And I always bring this back to a story I read about the 80s and when computers were, desktop PCs were becoming big. And
I was around, yes.
yeah. Well, both boys and girls used to play on computers. And then the marketers decided that playing computer games was a boys' thing to do.
Yes.
And just like how they gender all toys, they decided computers and computer games was for boys.
Thing.
And being on computers was not a girl's thing. And I think we're still suffering from that. That's one of my theories.
Yeah. I do also that there would be that, and also I think that boys as teenagers aren't as effective communicators as girls. And so that's a nice comfortable world to hide in.
More likely to hide it.
Yes, you don't have to. And now that we've got the internet, unlike the 80s, you really can hide in your room. And girls are very comfortable and even need that face-to-face communication always. Boys can. If I go to a party among friends, when they were young, it was half boys, half girls. During our teen years, you would think that not one of us had a son, because none of the boys chose to come to the family functions. Even though they were only 13, 14, 15, they stayed at home and played on their consoles.
Yeah.
It's
that would have been me.
Like we are losing our boys in some ways as a consequence of it. Like, that's really not the real world unless you're in COVID, and maybe this is going to become our normal world. That's just our form of communication. As a female, I hope not, but of course there's benefits of this world. I don't miss the hour commute to work every day. There are benefits. I talk at the girls' schools quite regularly, and look, I haven't started at primary school level, but even by year 7, those girls do not want to have anything to do with STEM. When you drill down into it, it's quite confronting how sexist they even are at such a young age. Ugly girls do cybersecurity. They don't even know that they've just got that image in their head. They invariably, when I query them on that, they refer to that show.
I was about to ask you about your thoughts on Mr. Robot. Would it be that?
No, it's not Mr. Robot.
No, it must be.
Oh, what's the blooming show? Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
Girl,
Penny.
Penny.
Yeah.
And they say it's even in the media, and so that is established so young. And look, to be honest, we almost need a TV show of hackers that are supermodels. Like, we need to change the imagery.
Well, there is that supermodel programmer, Lindsay Scott. Yeah, it's Lindsay Scott. There's another one too, Victoria's Secret model, coder.
No, obviously not.
Yeah, so
there is that.
I think that's a great idea for a show, though. I'd watch it.
That must be the problem.
It's like Baywatch, but
Baywatch for programmers and hackers. I love it.
Look, it's a bigger problem than even a decade's going to fix. It needs
it's a societal
mass marketing,
pressure,
including from Hollywood. It is a big issue, and women will bring a lot to the table.
Absolutely. Well, they're no less capable in this area.
Yeah,
and that's obvious. And you're completely right. The pressure on young girls is where the problem happens, and
you make stupid decisions when you're young. What is my friend studying? Like it's such a different decision in career selection. Obviously, I'm being general. A guy wants to study cybersecurity. I'm going to study cybersecurity. 17-year-old girl. Oh, I've gone to school with her since I was in prep. Yeah. What's she doing? Oh, she's studying nursing. Oh, I'll do that too, because I don't know what I want to do. Yeah. They think of the immediate short term. They don't even. 3 years when you're 17 is a long time away. So
absolutely.
It's all about my friendship group. Where am I going to have fun? Where am I? I've heard that big universities are hard to make friends with because you're in different classes all the time with different, in different shoots, so you never make friends. Whereas if you do a job like teaching or nursing, you're in the same cohort for every subject. And that's not the case if you do engineering. You know, you all study different things. And certainly and they want to make friends, and that's their motivation in life.
And that's such a terrible motivation for career choice.
For career choice, but it's the age they're making it.
Of course,
It's the age they're making it.
And that pressure has been on them right from the start. And just in the spirit of transparency, I've just had a daughter. So this is actually something that's very...
So you're suddenly thinking about how can I make her...
It's important to me, and obviously I want to make sure that she gets to follow in the path that is right for her without toxic pressure from society, her friends, her school,
good luck,
the media. Yeah, I know.
My own personal experience is you've done that. I want to do my own thing.
Of course.
You need to get someone outside to tell them what that it's a good career, because you know the least
maybe I'll
of
call
anyone.
on you and you can talk to my daughter.
And you know what? Certainly at the moment, because people are very aware of how, you know, what a difference a female can bring to a team, it's an absolute. Like any women getting into cyber are doing very, very well, because they are such the minority, and you know they are being recognised for what they bring, and they're being promoted up in organisations, almost to some men saying, "Where's my mentor? You know, I want what she gets. I need that." You know, there's so much. Organisations are doing so much to encourage women.
I still think it's at the wrong end. You know, encouraging people in university and in their careers already. I think that encouragement should be on the primary school kids.
One of our clients takes robotics to the primary schools and invites all their staff, and also invites all their staff in for a day. Their kids, if you've got kids, bring your staff in and we'll do robotics. And you know, they have red teaming and blue teaming for different days, and the kids love it. That's another part of the problem. I don't think that primary school teachers have the skill set to teach it. Yeah. But if you introduce kids into that, you know, they would have a ball with it. You know, one of the big government departments I went to in Canberra, they had this amazing Lego city, and it was Canberra, and it was Canberra set up in Lego, and it took up, you know, an enormous space, at least the size of a bedroom. And they had the red team and the blue team, and basically one had to defend, one had to blow it up, and it was this great big Lego city that they were going to, like, if that moved around the country into primary schools, we would attract them. But it needs someone to drive it. Someone has to, someone in the education system has to run with this. And let's get little kids, because that's the age it's going to be. That's when little boys get interested in it. Let's get little kids interested in this.
And I think that would have a positive effect on both genders. It's not just excluding the boys.
Other problem, as I see it, is careers advisors in schools are teachers.
Well, you don't actually have to have any qualifications to be a careers advisor. So
often they've been to school, gone to uni to learn how to be a teacher, and then they're teaching.
Yeah.
And you know yourself, when you entered the workforce, what's a business analyst do? I don't know. Like, that was a term I certainly didn't know when I started my career. Like, there's so many jobs in the workforce that, as a, you know, if you've lived that quite sheltered life of school, uni, teacher, you really don't know what all those jobs are.
Yeah, that's
and I
right.
certainly wouldn't know the plethora of jobs in cybersecurity.
Yeah. Or how to identify the correct mindset for that industry. Because it's not as obvious as that person likes computers, they should go into cybersecurity. There's a particular kind of person who excels in cybersecurity.
I think there is like some profiling of students, and they encourage them to, you know, look at this. But, you know, it's software that they bring in from outside, and it's sort of a one-day event rather than it being the ongoing relationship, you know.
Well, I always hear that, and I'm reminded of the Simpsons episode where the school tells Bart that the machine says he should be a drifter. And that's the danger. You shoehorn kids into, going down certain ways.
At least kids today, they say that a child coming out of year 12 today will have 8 very distinct, different careers in their life.
Wow, that's amazing. 8.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
8. So you're not going to go to uni for 3 years for each one of those.
No.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Whereas it's only 2 generations ago that, you were sort of expected to...
One job.
For life.
Yeah. Maybe promoted up a bit, but you stayed there until they gave you a gold watch and you went and played golf for the rest of your years. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you talk to anyone sort of in their 50s, most of them have had a good 3 or 4 quite distinct careers.
Yeah.
They haven't stayed in that one profession. And even if they have, it has really moved. But they're saying 8 for this generation. And look, the way technology is moving, you could still be in technology, but just it would look nothing like, just like when I started my career in technology. My career now looks nothing like what my career started in.
Yeah.
So because you evolve you grow up with the technology as it changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's only going to get wider and vaster.
Before we continue this podcast, here's a message from our sponsor.
We believe that you can create art and beauty with technology. We think big. We move quietly. We are Ninja Software.
All right. Well, what in your experience, what are the 3 biggest mistakes that businesses make when it comes to cybersecurity?
I don't know about 3, but offshoring's my big...
Ooh. Yeah, we're
offshoring,
not big on offshoring, so...
So many customers do it, and to be honest, we, on the managing side of it, we need to... It takes so much management. They're on different time zones. They don't necessarily understand the task. There can be cultural differences where they won't say no to a manager. Look, for basic work that's going to be automated in the future, probably okay. But for cybersecurity, oh my God, do not offshore anything.
Right there with you on that one.
It's my biggest gripe. It is my biggest gripe.
We feel the same way about software development. When you hear a good experience, that's an exception, and I can't actually think of any off the top.
I think the whole offshoring software development craze was pretty big back in the early 2000s.
Same with cybersecurity, which blows my mind because you're actually trusting someone who's not under Australian law.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm surprised that cloud has taken off in the large enterprises to the level it has. You're giving your data offshore, they're all doing it, and obviously, I'm sure they know more than me, but I am surprised at the level of adoption in cyber. There's been
great salesmen,
breaches.
Great salespeople at AWS. Yeah.
Well, clearly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's certainly not the money you save with their license fees.
No, you don't save much.
They trick people with the CapEx savings, but it adds up eventually. It's definitely our experience. It's so convenient.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see it come back. We'll do all this spend on putting everything in the cloud, everything in the cloud. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5-10 years' time we see it all come back.
Especially government. I think it's crazy that the government is moving everything to privately owned clouds. It's I guess, and from a cybersecurity perspective, people don't realize just how much you're letting go of control by trusting a third party provider like that.
Yeah.
You have no idea who's accessing their data centers, their hardware, or what is already embedded into their actual systems, especially if you have state sensitive data.
Yeah.
I
know it is unbelievable how what companies are putting stuff in the cloud.
And how quickly they transitioned.
Yes.
Last 5 years has been a huge exodus from the data center.
Huge. Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, CEOs, a bit like governments, they're in for a very short period, and let's look at the cost savings during my tenure.
Yeah.
Long-term
AWS salesman
strategies
gets in their ear and
long-term strategies aren't necessarily, CEOs aren't necessarily rewarded for long-term strategies. It's make a quick fix now, like that shows the instant savings.
That must be something you have to fight a lot in cybersecurity, right? The short-term fix versus actually implementing good security.
Look, how much risk are you prepared to carry for how much spend you're going to have? That's what you're weighing up.
I feel like you ask people that a lot.
But it's true. Like, how much are you going? You can spend your entire IT budget on cybersecurity. That's the question, really. Like, how much risk are you prepared to carry? And the smaller the company, sometimes they don't really spend anything until it's too late.
Until they actually discover how serious it can be.
And there's shut down for 5-6 days. And look, it is hard for small businesses. Where does a small business go to get support? Most people in cybersecurity are quite large companies.
Yes.
There's just, even if they get, they know that they've been attacked, who do they ring?
Yeah.
There's all of that we are just such a young industry.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's worth bringing up some stuff about the ransomware that's been going around recently as well. And a lot of small businesses were hit, and so were some small councils and governments as well. Yep. And by then it's too late.
And then they spend.
Yeah, that's right.
Then they spend.
They buy some Bitcoin and pay the ransom. They don't have the backups, so there's not much they can do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever had to advise someone to just pay the ransom?
I guess if they're already asked. I can't remember what it was called. It was a website for swingers. Mason.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean the one where you cheat on your partner?
Ashley
Madison?
Ashley Madison. Yeah. I did have a few people ring me and say, I've got the ransom email. What do I do? That was amazing. I actually got about 3 or 4 phone calls about that one. That was brilliant. You're right. It was a cheating website. Yeah.
Well, that's why all these people were so red-faced. Because
was funny. Like, quite a few of them had used their work email address.
Oh, I know, isn't that madness? And some of them even in government. They were government employees and used their government email address. Outrageous.
There's the page up breach. You can talk about all. I mean, there's so many breaches that have been unbelievable, and they had access to all their employees' data. Yeah. And these breaches will continue.
Yeah. And actually, Madison's a great example of the kind of breach that can be leveraged into blackmailing an employee to do something bad inside an organization, like install a backdoor or help.
There was a recent one that people were getting, which they had hacked LinkedIn and they somehow got everyone's passwords to LinkedIn. And that was saying that they'd filmed people. And if you don't give us this money, we will. And it said, and this is your password. And because so many people use the same password for the different applications, it was right. And I did get a couple of phone calls about that. Like, oh my God, and it says this. And what am I going to do? It's saying it's filmed me. I'm like, oh. And I asked a couple of people that I know in the industry, they go, oh, that's the LinkedIn one. And so he told them not to pay. But people don't know what to do.
No, they
Should I
don't. They
pay?
freak out and they go,
Should
well, what have
I
they seen?
Yeah,
There's a lot of
She's like, you got nothing to hide. Why are you so scared?
Actually, the password thing is when people ask me what can I do about like to improve my security, that's like the quickest one. Install a password,
Absolutely.
like password keeping application, like LastPass.
Change it regularly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you never use the same password in the same place. And
Yeah, exactly. And
such
so
a
many
simple
people
thing.
do.
Oh, so many people who should know better too. Like
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
who work in our industry and still
I
make that
know.
mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is obviously have good backups. Like, number one, always have backups.
Yes.
All right, we won't take up too much of your time. I think we covered a lot of stuff, which is really cool. Is there any kind of call to action you would like to leave us with? If I'm a CEO of a SME and I've realized by listening to this podcast that I've not taken cybersecurity seriously, how should I get in touch with Q1 Group?
Probably the best. Well, 1-300 Q1 Group's easy.
Brilliant.
It's called, or Google Q1 Group. That's we've got our website and there's a contact us page.
Excellent. All right. We always end our podcast with a bit of a whimsical question, and we have a pretty standard one where we're asking people now. So I don't know how familiar you are with wrestling or MMA or boxing, but the fighters always have their intro song. Yeah, so the music plays and they strut in, everyone goes quiet, and it represents them. What would your intro music be?
We were not expecting that one.
Yeah, it catches everyone off guard, but I think
music. Well, I have to be honest and say it would depend on how much wine I had consumed prior to
let's say 3 glasses.
Oh dear, you better get out there. She's a wild one.
Nice.
Oh yeah, look, I am missing getting out, I must say. Probably the answer would differ if I were to this major lockdown. I have no idea. What's yours? I have to give that question back to you.
You know what? No one's actually pushed that question back on me. That's a good point. Now I have to think about it.
Because I'm not a waltz. Like, I don't know, what would I be? Maybe the Angels. I don't know. Something loud.
Okay.
I think I would just go right now off the top of my head. Probably David Bowie "Heroes" would be.
Oh,
be my, yeah.
Well done. Well done. John?
Oh, you're going to ask me, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah, it's only fair.
It'll probably be Art Blakey in the Messages, Moanin'. One of the I'm a jazz man, so
okay.
it's just a groovy song with a great intro.
Beautiful. I don't know it. I'll have to listen to it.
I'll play it in the office after. Yeah.
Good question.
Catches people off guard, which I think, especially sometimes the conversations are super serious, so it's nice to end on a bit of a fun note.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you say your song was? I didn't actually.
I'm the wild one. Well, you're Susie Quattrich. You're too. I'm too.
Just give us one and we'll find it.
Is it Real Wild Child by Iggy Pop? Is that it?
One by Susie Quattrich. It was definitely Susie Quattrich.
Oh, Susie Quattrich.
Dear, I don't think you can do this to me.
Yeah, Susie Quattrich, the wild one. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Actually, I do know this song, so I may be too young for it, but my mum's a Susie Quattrich fan.
Well, she
so.
still plays. She plays in Australia at the Midsummer Festival.
Oh wow,
she's incredible. Like, she's in her 70s and just like wow,
still rocking out. Yeah,
and
Susie Quattrich. Perfect, excellent choice. Yeah.
Oh well, Heroes. I think Hero sounds pretty good. I want to be a hero too.
I actually think the Wild One is a better choice. It's cooler, and I'm probably gonna have to. I'm gonna spend the next few days thinking about my answer, and I'll probably revise it.
Yeah, me too.
I can't believe no one's throwing it back at you.
I know, you're the first one.
Yeah,
you're the
that's
first
true.
one. And we've asked quite a few people, so that's really cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tracey. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you so much, Tracey.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tracey.
Okay,
Yeah.
cheers.
All right,
Cheers.
have a great day.
John. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the end of another episode of Tech Society.
On this day in tech history, in 2008, Google and T-Mobile introduced the T-Mobile G1, also known as the HTC Dream, the world's first Android-based smartphone.
As always, this episode was sponsored by Ninja Software. We think big and we move quietly. Check us out, njs.dev. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm Alex.
I'm John.
See you later.
Bye.